Coming up on tonight's broadcast, a contributor from the television show House comes to OSU, public transportation use goes up, and accusations of rape from U.S. servicewomen.
All that and more right here on the Beaver News. Good evening and welcome to your Monday night edition of the Beaver News. We are glad to have you with us. I'm Kim Stowell.
And I'm Courtney Becker. Lisa Standards, MD and Assistant Clinical Professor of the Yale University School of Medicine and a clinical educator in Yale's primary care and internal medicine residency program, will discuss physician-patient relationships as illustrated in her best-selling book, Every Patient Tells a Story, in her presentation on Tuesday, March 13th, beginning at 7 p.m. in the auditorium of LaSalle Stewart Center. There will also be a public reception that will take place at 6:30 p.m. Sanders also writes the popular Diagnosis column, which appears monthly in New York Times Magazine. This column was the inspiration for the award-winning medical drama House, MD, on which he currently serves as a technical advisor.
The Dean of the College of Agricultural Sciences and the Director of the Oregon Agricultural Experiment Station at Oregon State, Sonny Ramaswamy, has been selected by President Obama to lead the National Institute of Food and Agriculture in Washington, D.C. NIFA is the lead agency within the U.S. Department of Agriculture that supports research and education and extension programs in the nation's land-grant university system and partner organizations. Oregon State University is Oregon's only land-grant university. The researchers and extension educators respond to public inquiries and conduct informal education programs. Ramaswamy has been at Oregon State since 2009 and has helped OSU's agricultural research programs to grow to almost $60 million in grants and contracts. Private support has also grown to $77 million.
No one has been allowed within a 20-mile radius of the city for the last 11 months due to radiation coming from damaged power plant on the coast of Japan, where the fatal tsunami struck almost a year ago. However, an Oregon State University scientist is part of the team that became the first to investigate the scale of the damage that the devastating tsunami. The team was composed of 3 scientists, including OSU's very own Harry Ye, a civil engineer from OSU, 2 civil engineers from the Fukushima prefecture, and 2 employees from the local construction company to help guide them through the area. The team conducted their analysis on February 6th and 7th. According to James Shrive of the Daily Barometer, the team's ultimate goal is to develop a better understanding of these events so that when they happen in the future, we will be better prepared to handle them. We now go to Brittany Greenfield with a report from the OSU Asian Pacific Cultural Center. Brittany?
Today I'm here at Oregon State University's Native American Longhouse, located on 311 Southwest 26th Street. Tell students a little bit about what goes on with the Longhouse.
The Native American Longhouse is here as a cultural and resource center for the OSU community campus, as well as the surrounding Corvallis community and area. It serves Native American students, but also non-natives that are just interested in learning more about our culture, our heritage, and some of the issues that are going on with Native students and the Native community today. The Native American Longhouse provides a large variety of events ranging from educational, cultural, spiritual, and some just for fun and kind of community building, trying to bring a sense of togetherness for our community as well as to the campus. Specifically, some of the events that we have go on are the Salmon Bake, which is we have that go on every year. That'll be spring, and if you're wondering, that's going to be May 16th from noon to 3 p.m. And the Salmon Bake is a really awesome opportunity because our staff works really hard to fundraise the salmon as well as to bring in some really talented MCs and speakers and performers in order to let the OSU community know kind of what goes on in our celebrations, basically. And what that is kind of a celebration of kind of the end of the school year. And so you can come and get some free food, some free salmon. We'll go out and dig up the chemist just locally here, and people can have some kind of fairly traditional Native American foods. We actually bring a family in who will cook the salmon in a traditional way over an open fire pit on stakes, which is really cool. It's just a really great experience and a great way to kind of express our cultural identity as well as what goes on here. And then we do a lot of other things too, just providing resources to students on campus when they come in. Maybe one of the things we like to do is serve as a home away from home for Native students and non-Native students. They can come in here, they can use the resources we have like our computer, our printer, as well as the couches for studying areas or just for kind of relaxing. They can use our kitchen in order to make lunch or store food here. And they can also they can just meet friends. We can give them access to a lot of the resources going on campus, like things like what CAPS has to offer, as well as other programs through diversity development, which we are an entity of, I guess. And just all of the cool things that OSU campus has to offer that a lot of students, especially young students, don't know about or they may not get a chance to know about. You might hear it at a start session, but oftentimes you forget it, and then halfway through the year or towards the end of the year, you may need one of those services. And so we're here to make sure that we can let students know, hey, look, we have these resources for you. OSU has these resources for you. Make sure that you use them.
Great. So where can students go to get more information about the Longhouse?
I would say come into the Longhouse. That'd be your best bet. Just come in, meet us, talk to us, visit with the staff, and we'll tell you about everything we're doing. If you want to get involved, we'll tell you how to get involved. Or if you just want to come in and hang out, meet some people, or you just want to know, hey, how can I get some free salmon? Just the best way is to come in here. We're centrally located here on campus, so it's really easy to find us. Other than that, I would say you could go ahead and contact one of the staff members. You can usually find our email addresses on our website. Or just if you want to find out more about the history of the Longhouse and things like that, just visit the website. Just use the search bar on the OSU webpage and you can find it pretty easily.
This has been Brittany Greenfield showcasing diversity for KBVR. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Brittany. Cody Connelly, a new member of Oregon State University's forensic team, received awards in both individual events and a debate for his performance in a recent tournament in Spokane, Washington. The team attended the Spokane Falls Voices on the River tournament featuring more than 12 schools from the Northwest Forensics Conference. Connelly is a native of Honolulu, Hawaii. He took 4th place in Nauvoo Impromptu Speaking and was also a semifinalist and recognized as the 8th best speaker in a novice debate. Connelly was joined at the tournament by Kelsey Irish and Michael Walters. Their team was coached by graduate assistants Corey Thornburg and Forrest Ledbetter. We are heading into our first short break, but don't go anywhere because when we return, we have a weather update and a look at news around the nation. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Beaver News, right here on KBVR. 8 current and former female U.S. service members filed a lawsuit Tuesday alleging they were raped, sexually assaulted, or harassed while serving in the military and were retaliated against once they reported the abuse. Among the defendants are current and former Defense and Navy secretaries. The suit outlines a pattern of abuse and portrays in grim detail the alleged experiences of the 8 female service members. Elle Helmer, one of the former officers, told HLN's Jane Velez Mitchell on Tuesday night, quote, "They hated you for standing up for yourself." The lawsuit alleges Helmer was raped by her superior at his office in March 2006 after a required pub crawl. She told reporters at the National Press Club in Washington earlier that day that she hoped by going public other victims would be encouraged to speak out. She was joined by Ariana Clay, another former Marine Corps officer and plaintiff, spoke out and told CNN that in August 2010 she was, quote, gang raped by a senior officer and a civilian friend at her Washington home. The officer allegedly threatened to kill Clay. According to the most recent Defense Department study, more than 19,000 incidents of unwanted sexual content are estimated to have occurred in 2010, though less than 3,000 of those events were reported.
A suspect was arrested Saturday for allegedly shooting a female officer, stabbing a judge, and fleeing a Washington state courthouse. Stephen D. Kravitz was arrested at his mother's home after his mother called authorities to tell them where he was after hearing media reports on the incident. CNN is reporting that authorities also recovered a gun taken from the officer during the confrontation. The suspect fired twice at the deputy, hitting her once in the shoulder. Affiliates said that the man left the courthouse with the gun. Both Edwards and the officer were treated and released from the hospital.
Whitney Houston's only child opened up Sunday about her late mother in the first interview since the singer's death last month. CNN reports Bobby Christina Brown, 19, told Oprah Winfrey she can still hear her mother's voice sometimes and feel her spirit, urging her to keep moving. Whitney Houston, 48, died February 11th in her room at the Beverly Hilton Hotel in Beverly Hills, California, the day before the music industry gathered for the Grammys in Los Angeles. Authorities are reviewing additional medical information that will be used in the final ruling on cause of death, and Houston's toxicology report should be complete on or around March 23rd.
The number of people riding trains and buses has risen to one of the highest levels in decades. CNN is reporting that officials believe that this change is due to higher gas prices, a stronger economy, and the new technology that makes riding public transit easier. In 2011, Americans took 10.4 billion trips on mass transit, according to the American Public Transportation Association. The number of riders has increased 2.3% over 2010, but has not yet reached the number of trips taken in 2008, when the price of gas was a national average of $4.11 per gallon. President of APTA, Michael Melifany, is stating, quote, "As people get jobs and go back to work, they get on mass transit more. And then when people look at gas prices, they really get on transit more," end quote. We now go to a look at the upcoming forecast.
Good evening, Corvallis. Tonight I have your 5-day forecast. Tonight, expect the rain to continue with a low of 34 degrees. On Tuesday, more rain with a high of 43 degrees and a low of 20 degrees. On Wednesday, there's a high of 48 degrees and a low of 43 degrees, and finally some sun is coming out. On Thursday, expect more rain with a high of 48 degrees and a low of 39 degrees. Finally, on Friday, rain continues with a high of 45 degrees and a low of 34 degrees. That's your 5-day forecast, and back to you in the studio.
Looks like this rain is going to be sticking around for a few more days, so remember to bring your jackets. An LSU female soccer standout, Isom, has decided to switch up her cleats. The first LSU athlete to be voted homecoming queen has decided to try out for the #1 ranked football team in the country. Isom was one of the top goalies in the Southeastern Conference for 4 years, displaying a powerful kick that managed to even score goals from the opposite end of the soccer field. Standing at 6'1", 190 pounds, LSU has released video of Isom kicking over 50-yard field goals in practice. However, this is no easy task because LSU's returning kicker had the highest field goal percentage in the country at 88.9%. It is now time for our final break of the evening, but we'll have a look at more of your national and international stories in just a minute. Welcome back to the Beaver News right here on Channel 26. The remains of 167 people have been found in the southern Mexican state of Chiapas while the kidnappings of bus passengers were being investigated. The remains are believed to be at least 50 years old. CNN is reporting that the remains were discovered inside a cave on the Nuevo Ojo de Agua ranch and show no visible signs of violence. Further studies will be done to determine the age, sex, and cause of death for each person. Other mass graves have also been discovered in recent years in Mexico. The bodies of 72 migrants from Central and South America were found at a ranch in northern Mexico in 2010, as well as another 200 people found in a mass grave in the same area.
A new study is showing that while consuming sugary carbonated drinks can certainly raise a person's chances of becoming obese, it might also raise the likelihood of suffering a heart attack. CNN reports that the study followed nearly 43,000 men for an average of 22 years, found that those who drank one 12-ounce sweetened beverage per day were 20% more likely to have a heart attack than men who drank none. The study was also unable to connect this increase in heart attacks to obesity or weight gain alone, with lead author Frank Hugh, MD, a professor of nutrition and epidemiology at the Harvard School of Public Health in Boston, saying that consumption, quote, appears to be an independent risk factor for heart disease, end quote. This increase in risk only applied to those consuming soda on a daily or nearly daily basis.
The Afghan Taliban vowed today to get revenge for the killing of 16 civilians who were allegedly killed by an American soldier who went on a house-to-house shooting rampage Sunday. Afghanistan's parliament demanded a public trial for the suspect, who is accused of killing 9 children, 3 women, and 4 men. CNN is reporting that U.S. officials have expressed shock and sadness over the attack, while the Afghan leaders have angrily condemned it. The people in the area of the killings are angry at both Americans and Afghan security forces for their failure to protect them.
Opposition activists say at least 108 people were killed across Syria on Sunday. At least 45 women and children have been stabbed and burned to death in the Syrian city of Homs. CNN reports that the massacre took place late Sunday after peace talks between the UN Special Envoy and the Syrian regime failed to consult a ceasefire. Children were stabbed to death in front of their mothers, and women and girls were sexually assaulted and then shot, the Human Rights Network said. The LCC called the killings a, quote, massacre orchestrated by the regime, end quote, of President Bashar al-Assad. After sunset Sunday, a live video feed online from opposition activists showed bodies from the Homs massacre. Tuesday will be an official day of mourning across Syria, the LCC said. The LCC added that stores should remain closed, universities and schools should not be attended, and streets should be blocked. They hope that all will participate in this day of mourning, even if only symbolically by wearing a black ribbon or raising a black flag.
5 people were killed in Gaza today, and more than 36 rockets fell into Israel. CNN is reporting that Israel said its airstrikes are targeted at militant rocket launching sites in response to more than 200 rocket attacks from Gaza since Friday. More than 36 rockets were fired into Israel today. The airstrikes have killed at least 23 people in Gaza since Friday, and at least 75 others have been wounded. The fighting is the worst outbreak of violence in Gaza this year. We now go to Joe Hedberg for a look at OSU athletics.
Good evening, Corvallis. It was yet again another good weekend to be a Beaver fan. In their first home game of the season, the Beavers came out swinging against West Virginia on Friday night with an 11-0 victory. Oregon State pitcher Ben Wetzler threw for a one-hitter against the Mountaineers. Oregon State was back at Goss the following day with a victory over Illinois 8-2, followed by a loss to Connecticut 6-3. However, the Beavers came back on Sunday full steam, beating the Oklahoma Sooners 11-7. A victory that came in a comeback in the 7th and 8th innings that was started on a pair of home runs hit by freshmen Michael Conforto and Dylan Davis. Oregon State jumps into Pac-12 play starting Friday when the Beavers visit California in Berkeley, California. First pitch for the game was slated for 2:30 p.m. The Oregon State gymnastics team had a tri-meet over the weekend where they took on number 22 Denver and Texas. Oregon State finished in second in the tournament, narrowly behind Denver by a score of 196.25 to Oregon State's 196.325. This was OSU's highest road score of the year. The team was led by junior all-arounders Brittany Harris and Melanie Jones. The Beavers returned to Corvallis for the annual Comfort Suites Invitational when the Beavers host New Hampshire in Seattle Pacific Friday, March 16th at 7 p.m. The meet is senior night and will be the final home competition for Leslie Mack and Olivia Vivian. Lastly, the men's basketball team was eliminated from the Pac-12 tournament on Friday after losing to the University of Arizona 72-61. The Beavers, who had upset the number 1 seed, the University of Washington, in a tournament, have been invited to play in the College Basketball Invitational, which will consist of 16 teams. Oregon State will face Western Illinois at Gill Coliseum Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is the third time in 4 years that the Beavers have made it to the postseason. This has been a look at your Beaver athletics.
Thanks, Joe. Well, that's all the news we have for you this evening. Be sure to join us tomorrow at 7 p.m. for more of your national, international, and local news right here on the Beaver News. Have a good night, everyone.